Welcome back to the Nuckhead Podcast. My apologies that it took me 3 months to make a new episode. I'm actually not sorry about that part. I'm more sorry about saying that it would come back in late July and then it not coming back, and then saying it would come back sometime in August and then it not coming back, and then saying it would come back in September, but waiting till the last week of September to do that. My bad. There's 2 reasons why. So, one, there's just really not that much to talk about during the off season. It's really just speculation and grasping at straws. And when there is something to talk about, like a trade or a signing, I'd much rather make a video about it. And I did. There's videos on my channel talking about, there's one about every single move the Canucks made during the offseason. There's one covering the Young Stars tournament in Penticton that just happened. So yeah, that's one reason. There's not that much to talk about. And then the second reason is I moved. So that was a big change, and I had a few trips planned. So it was kind of hard to get into the groove of things. But while that might be a valid reason, I am sorry for basically leading you guys on, saying it would come back and then it didn't, and then saying it would come back and then it didn't. What I learned this year was I don't think the podcast is going to exist during the off season. I'll think more about it, but yeah. Anyways, we'll get to that next summer and we'll figure it out. After the Canucks win the cup, we'll figure that out. So yeah, I've already got some cool guests lined up for this season, and I'm gonna add more. But you guys shouldn't be disappointed. I think it's gonna be really fun. We're gonna talk to some cool people. For this episode, it's just gonna be me and you. I asked you guys on X, YouTube, and on Instagram if you had any hot takes related to the Canucks or the NHL. And yeah, I'm just going to answer all of those right now. So let's get into it. At the Canadian Killer said, Demko is a great goalie, but if he can't stay healthy, I don't think he's a good asset to keep on the Canucks roster. This is coming from a Demko fan. What? You know what I mean? What? Not to be rude, but what? Just to repeat it, he said, Demko is a great goalie, but if he can't stay healthy, I don't think he's a good asset to keep on the Canucks roster. Yeah, I guess that's kind of just a fact, but it depends on what you mean. Like, are we talking 4 years down the line and the dude's only played a total of 25 games? Because then I agree. I mean, it's sad to think about, and I don't even really want to go down that road right now, but yeah, I guess technically. But right now, if he only gets 20 games this whole season, like, not that that's going to happen, but let's say he only got in 20 games, he is still one of the best goalies in the league and one of the best goalies the Canucks have ever had. So, no, I don't think there's even like remotely a chance, at least right now, that they would try to get rid of him. Also, if it ever got to the point where, we're looking 4 or 5 years down the line and he's been injured every single season, you can't just trade him. Like, teams won't want that, right? I don't know. Disagree, but thank you for commenting, and honestly, good on you for following the criteria, because that is a hot take. Okay, at Davy Jones 4910 said, Draisaitl is overrated. No, he's not. Sorry, disagree. I am a Canucks fan through and through, and I want to dislike Draisaitl. In fact, I do, but I can't deny truths. If anything, he is underrated. If anything, because he plays with Connor McDavid, the best player in the league, maybe the best player ever. It's like the Evgeny Malkin effect. Evgeny Malkin played his whole career, he's still playing, with Crosby, and Crosby is one of the best players to ever play. So as good as Evgeny Malkin was, and good isn't the right word, Evgeny Malkin is an elite, superstar, franchise player, and yet he's never been the best player on his team, aside from when Crosby was injured. So I don't think Draisaitl's underrated, but if you had to pick one or the other, he's underrated. But I think he's probably perfectly rated. Every time the Canucks play them, whether it was the playoffs or in the season when they kicked their asses every time Draisaitl touched the puck, I'd shit my pants a little bit. And I'm serious. I went through like 5 different couches. Anyways, at Yogi Core said, hot take, the Vancouver Canucks are good. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I couldn't agree more. Actually, you know what? I could agree more. Because this year, I think the Vancouver Canucks might be great. I might have to update the slogan a little bit here. At L1MERS, or at Limers, I don't know what that means, said Vilmer Alriksson is going to be our new Zaddy. He has the potential to be. I mean, first of all, he's not he's a forward, he's not a defenseman, so the better comparison might be Dakota Joshua. And if you want to get your hopes really high, you could say Bertuzzi when Bertuzzi was in his prime. The fact that we even have a 6'6", 215-pound, 19-year-old left winger in our system who is showing signs of being a really talented goal scorer and he can break bones is amazing. That's so sick. So I'm hoping he could be the new Zadorov or Bertuzzi or Joshua or whatever, but the question is when. This season? I don't think so. Next season? Maybe, but again, he's so young. He needs to develop in the minors. He needs to play in Abbotsford. But yeah, he's on his way there for sure. At OMFG322 said, unless the Canucks go on a heater after Demko gets back, I can't see them finishing first in the division or top 5 in the league. Once playoffs roll around and Demko is healthy, that will be the difference maker. You said, unless the Canucks go on a heater after Demko gets back, I can't see them finishing first in the division or top 5 in the league. I actually think I disagree. And if there's any non-Canucks fans listening right now who want to comment and call me a homer because I'm so high on the Canucks, go ahead. But remember what I said about Draisaitl. I keep it real. As much as I'm a diehard fan, I keep it real. And here's the thing. The Canucks are really, really good this season. Like, really good. And if they have to win, and we're not talking like Lankinen and Shilovs, they're not Swiss cheese. They're not bad goalies. In fact, Shilovs, we have every reason to believe that he could be very, very good right now. And we got to temper our expectations a little bit, but he was so good against one of the best offensive teams in NHL history, the Edmonton Oilers. He played amazing against them. I'm not saying we should, Shilovs is Demko number 2, but we don't have bad goalies, okay? We just don't have our superstar, elite goalie right now. And if the Canucks have to win a couple games 5-3, 6-4, they can do that because their offense was good last year, but it got better this year. So I disagree. I don't think Demko... Like, here's the thing about goalies, or at least the way I look at it when it comes to goalies. A great team, like a really well-constructed team, it's not a necessity to have an all-star Henrik Lundqvist, Luongo type goalie in net. Of course, it's preferred and it helps, but it's not required. The Avalanche won the Cup a few years ago with, I think it was Georgiev in net. Is that who it was, or was it? Colorado goalie 2022. Is that the year they won? 2022 Avalanche, 2023 Knights. Yeah. Who was their goalie? Yeah, it was Georgiev, I think. No shade to him, but he's not Demko. He's not Hellebuck, right? And even the year after, the Knights won with Adin Hill in net. And do I think Adin Hill is the best goal? I mean, he played fantastic, don't get me wrong. But I think it's just like if you have a really, really good team and they keep shots to the outside, breakaways are few and far between, shots from the slot are few and far between, you don't need that all-star goalie. It's really when the team's slacking or they're up against a juggernaut or there's injuries where a goalie like Demko really steps up and saves games for the Canucks. So when we're talking like, okay, Demko might miss, I don't even know, I haven't heard a number, but let's say he misses the first 25 games of the season, which I don't expect at all, but let's say it's 25 games. I don't think that's going to make the Canucks drop from like a potential second overall finish to like, 7th. I guess we'll have to see. Okay, where was I here? At Junior Robbins 99 said, this will not happen 100%, but the hot take is we have 3 100-point players this year, PD Hughes and JT. Something more realistic, but still a very hot take, is Brock Boeser gets 50 goals this year. So for me, that's not really that hot of a take because Pettersson had 100 points the season prior, and he was on pace for 100 before getting injured and slumping in the latter quarter of last season. Miller hit 100 points this season. Hughes was only 8 points away from 100 points. Yeah, I think it's extremely possible that the Canucks have 300-point players. When it comes to Boeser hitting 50 goals, yeah, he's got an incredible shot. He has great hockey IQ. He plays with amazing players. It's very possible, but I'd be happy with him hitting 40 again this year, even 30. Honestly. But yeah, it's possible he'll hit 50. I think it's more likely that the Canucks will have 3 100-point players, though. Okay, yeah, that's it for YouTube. Let's move on to Twitter, where people tend to be a bit angrier. The takes are a bit hotter over here, so let's see what they say. Starting with at Demko Enthusiast, they said, Desharnais flourishes under Canucks coaching staff and Tocchet's system, developing into a Zadorov-esque presence in the next couple of seasons. Yeah, again, I don't even know if that's that hot of a take because honestly, like Zadorov isn't an elite player. He's so fun to watch, and he's a big game player, as we learned last season in the playoffs. But he's not like Quinn Hughes. So saying that Desharnais has the ability and the potential to turn into a Zadorov isn't that crazy to say. Yeah, I don't know how hot that take is. I think that's a warm take, or maybe it's just because I agree with it. I have high hopes for Desharnais. I really do. I think he won't be like a goal scoring phenom like Hughes, but or even really like, I don't think he'll be piling up the points. Even if he does play with Hughes, I think it's more likely he'll be just a really reliable defensive defenseman. Maybe a little bit of a two-way game, but honestly, I think more so he'll just be that guy on the back end. You throw it on the penalty kill. He could play with Hughes. He could play with anybody, really, and just be reliable. And with the Canucks coaching staff, look what they did with Myers last season, with Juleson. Yeah, I think that's very likely. So I agree, but that's not hot enough. Okay, get hotter. At JDog0721 said, how about the fact that Talkit pretty much went with your predicted starting lineups all through camp? Pretty awesome you're doing your own podcast. I've always wanted to do a podcast, but never had the guts to just go and do it. So good for you, man. I'm a fan. Let's go. Well, thank you. I mean, that's not really a hot take, but first of all, the lines. I think a baby coaching the team would know to put Lekkerimäki with Pettersson in the preseason. So I don't think I'm a genius for suggesting that and then Talkit actually doing it. I think it's like, how do you not put a right winger who can score goals and get open next to the team's best playmaker? You have to, at least in the preseason. My prediction was that Lekkerimäki would make the opening night roster. So if that happens, hey, I'll accept the flowers. I mean, maybe I should be coach. Maybe. But yeah, until then, I can't say I was right. But when it comes to doing your own podcast, dude, honestly, just start one. That's what I did, and it's working so far. And by working, I just mean I'm having fun doing it, and people seem to have fun listening to it. I mean, that's all you really need, right? So I think you should give it a go. Quinton, also known as @BioDisaster, said, Lekkerimäki wins the Calder if he cracks the starting lineup and has chemistry with Petey. Yeah, agree. Like, when the playoffs roll around in mid-April next year, I think Lekkerimäki's going to be on the team. I really do. But whether or not he starts the season with the team, that's up for debate. It really depends on how he performs in training camp and in the preseason. But it also weighs on what the coaches want. Because he could score 10 goals in the 7 preseason games or 6 preseason games. But if the coaches are dead set on him playing half the season or a quarter of the season in Abbotsford first, that's where he's going to be. So it might already be decided what's going to happen, and it has no bearing on how he performs. We don't know yet, right? But if he makes the team for opening night, yeah, I think he would be in the Calder conversation. But you also have Celebrini, and you have Lane Hudson. I can't remember everybody, but you got a few. And that Yakimchuk guy, I know he's a defender, but that goal he scored the other night and was fantastic. There's a good rookie class this year. I wouldn't say it's a lock. That's a great take. It's hot enough to be like, whoa, what's this guy saying? But it's also possible enough to dissect and be like, wait a minute. That's a good one. That might be the best one so far. Okay, at Alice Red Desert, aka Max, said, not a hot take, but it should be common knowledge at this point. Vancouver Canucks are what? Good. They are so good. Also, PD and Brock are gifts from God. They should stay Canucks forever. Well, I think Pettersson is going to stay a Canuck forever. I mean, he's signed for 8 more years at $11 million. At that point, he'll be, I don't know. Hey, Google, how old is Elias Pettersson?
Sorry, I didn't understand, but I found something similar. Do you want to know how good is Elias Pettersson?
Yeah.
On the website aya.com, they say, Elias Pettersson's overall rating in NHL 25 is 91.
I hope that answers your question, because it did not answer mine. But yeah, not a hot take. Vancouver Canucks are good. It's so nice. It's actually funny because when I started the channel last season, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Vancouver Canucks weren't good. They were not considered to be good. If you go back and watch season predictions by anybody, whether it be the hockey guy or someone on TSN, or nobody had them making the playoffs. Some people had them as a bubble playoff team, but nobody thought they'd be, where did they finish? 6th in the league? 1st in the division? No one thought they'd finish above the Oilers. No one thought they'd even finish above the Knights. Some didn't even think they'd finish above the Kings. I love the fact that the Canucks are good now, and I honestly need to change the slogan, because me just running around saying the Vancouver Canucks are good, everyone's like, yeah, we know. They were one of the last teams in the playoffs last year. Of course they're good. I need to change it to great or something. I don't know. Okay, so the next one is from @Tallflick, aka Twin Turbo Enthusiast, said, this will be the year the Leafs get to the Cup Final. And then in parentheses, they said, swept 4-0 by Nashville. Okay, what's interesting though is I actually had this thought yesterday. This could be the year for the Maple Leafs. Not in terms of winning the cup, okay? I'm not an idiot. I'm reserving that for the Canucks. But in terms of maybe making the final or getting very far, I think that it could be the year for them because they have Stolars, who put up insane numbers with the Panthers last year. And he's not an elite goalie yet. You can't consider him one of the best yet, but he had a great season and maybe he'll continue that. But even aside from that, they made their defense a lot better. We don't even need to really get into it other than the fact that they have Chris Tanev now. He is so reliable. I know he's getting older. Maybe there'll be a drop-off. I don't know, but he is so good. He's been so good with every team in every system. He goes from the Canucks to the Flames. Still good. Maybe even better, honestly. His prime might have been with the Flames. Then to Dallas. Great. Solid. And then, why would the pattern end now? Maybe because he's getting older. I would accept that answer. But I think adding him for that stability, obviously he can't play the full 60 minutes every night, but and they also got Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and if he can build on the season he had last year, hell, he's also such an offensive defenseman. Him playing with some of the best forwards in the league, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews and William Nylander. Who knows? I think, honestly, I think the Maple Leafs have a really good chance this year. But you know what? They've been saying that for years. Since 2017, everyone's been like, oh, they're cup contenders. This is the year. But this is the first time I'm saying it. So maybe that matters. I don't know. At Smug Millsy said, the Oilers making the final was a bigger fluke than Montreal making the final in 2020. I don't really believe in flukes because things have to go right because, Montreal making the final in 2020 was super random. No one really saw that coming. But they played so well. Go back and watch that series, that conference finals against the Knights. They played well. And Price was crazy. Talk about winning games for their team. Price was doing that every other game. He was sick. Everybody had a great... the Montreal Canadiens weren't constructed to be that good, right? No one really saw them being that good. But the performance... that's the thing I love about hockey and sports in general. But the thing about hockey is the best players on the team don't play for the whole 60 minutes, right? McDavid plays... maybe maximum during a very important playoff game, 30 minutes a night. Let's see what is actual, just for the fun of it. Game 7, Oilers, Panthers. Okay, so in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, the best player in the world, one of the best players of all time, only played 25 minutes. Now, that's a lot for hockey, right? I'm not saying McDavid only played 25. That's a lot. But when you look at all sports... that's not even half the game. So the superstars can only do so much. And that's why the team aspect really, really matters. And the coaching aspect and following the system, the details, right? There's obviously weird, bad bounces and injuries that affect the outcome of series and can make it so, I guess flukes happen. But it's a 7-game series. You have time to adjust. So I disagree. I don't think the Canadiens making that final was a fluke. I think it was unexpected and kind of felt like a fluke. But when you go back and watch their run, especially the final series they won to get to the final, it was against the Knights, they played so well. They were so gelled, and Price stood on his head. Price was insane. But okay, let me go back. What did this guy even say? I forget now. The Oilers making the final was a bigger fluke. No, it really wasn't though. They have the rest of their team could be 4-year-olds. They have Connor McDavid, and they also have Leon Draisaitl. They also have Evan Bouchard, and they also have Ekholm, right? And that's just the top guys. They had a good team. We learned that watching the Canucks play against them, and they deserve to be there. I really do believe that. Honestly, in the West, I believe the Canucks, the Stars, and the Oilers all deserve to be in that final. They were all really, really strong teams. So At Rise in the Wake said, Garland scores 30-plus goals this season. Okay, this is a good hot take. This is a good one, and I absolutely agree. There's really nothing else I can say about that. I totally agree with you. Garland is getting close or passing 30 goals this season. I really believe that. At Pazura 1992 said, Oilers won't make the playoffs. A lot would have to go wrong for them. I disagree, but it's a hot take. It's just hard to tell if you fully believe it or if you're just saying it to piss people off. Tatiana said, Sens are making the playoffs and the Jets aren't. Okay. I like this one. This is a good one too. The Senators are making the playoffs, but the Jets aren't. I mean, Okay, Senators making the playoffs, I actually think that's very possible. The Jets, though, not making the playoffs, I mean, they have Connor Hellebuyck. So it's kind of up to him, really. You know, even if the rest of the team is injured, he's arguably the best goalie in the league. I know EA Sports just determined him the best goalie in the league. And wait, did EA Sports give him that? I don't want to spread misinformation. EA Sports goalie ratings. I spelled that all so wrong. Oh, sick. Here it is. Yeah, they put Connor Hellebuyck one overall higher than Igor Shesterkin. They have Demko as the fourth best, which I would honestly agree. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. The Jets not making the playoffs. I would love that. I really don't like playing against the Jets. They beat us a lot last year. I don't like playing them. They piss me off. If they missed the playoffs, I'd be laughing my way to the bank. And by bank, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, if they missed the playoffs, though, I would love that. I wouldn't bet against them simply because they have Connor Hellebuyck in net. So yeah. Okay, well, that's Twitter. It wasn't actually as angry as I thought. But we'll wait for people to start replying to that guy who said the Oilers making the final was a bigger fluke than Montreal making it. I'm sure he'll get some responses. What else? Oh, yeah, Instagram. Okay, let's just get into this. Parker Lawrence said, Garland gets 30 goals. Hey, I don't know if you're also on Twitter, but either you said it twice or two people think, make that three people think that Garland's going to get 30 goals. I agree, man. Tommy Tilson said Kirill Kudryavtsev plays 40-plus games this year. That's a hot take. Because while I can't fully disagree, I also can't fully agree. Kirill Kudryavtsev, Kuj, as I've been calling him, will play 40-plus games this year. There's obviously not room for him and Pettersson. And I want Pettersson. So for that reason, I'm going to disagree. Fells.17 says Lekkerimäki wins the Calder. Hey, okay. I don't know if you guys are saying things twice or if some of these are just, I guess, hot takes people have hot together. What the fuck did I just say? Okay, Lekkerimäki wins the Calder. That's a hot take. Again, it's a good one because I can't disagree, but I also can't agree. It really depends on if he makes the team, and if he does make the team, who he's playing with, which I think if he makes the team, he'll probably be playing with Pettersson, but we don't know for sure. So if he makes the team, if he's playing with Pettersson, and yeah, you'd also have to expect Celebrini to not put up the numbers. And I can't remember everybody, but there's quite a few good rookies this year. So that's a good hot take. It's a good hot take. I want him to win the Calder. I just want him to have a good season. I don't even care about the trophy. And I don't even think they do really either. M. Jansen 8 said, DeBrusk first line with JT Miller and Brock, and then put Lekkerimäki next to EP40 and Big Hog. Okay, this is exactly what I said I thought the lineup would be on opening night. So I have to agree with you. However, that video came out, I believe, 2 weeks ago now, and I've already changed my mind a little bit on one part of it. Höglander, Pettersson, and Lekkerimäki as a line might not be the best idea, only because I don't know much about Lekkerimäki's two-way game yet. I'm not sure if he can be relied upon in the defensive end totally. I mean, most rookies usually aren't right away anyways. And then Höglander, while he's so good on the forecheck, he has had moments of kind of having a one-sided game a little bit. You know, I love Big Hog. I'm just being honest. So having three players, and like Pettersson's good defensively, but you kind of want him focused on offense. So it would be nice to have a player next to him who is a bit more defensive-minded and then a player who's completely offensive-minded. You know what I mean? Like, give him someone who's 60-40 D to offense, so like maybe Heinen, Danton Heinen, and then put someone next to him like Sprong or Lekkerimäki who's 80% offense. You know what I mean? So that's my change to that. But DeBrusk playing with JT Miller and Brock Boeser, that I can get behind and I totally agree with. I really think, I know they're going to start DeBrusk with Pettersson, and you know, he could end up there the whole year. But something tells me, I don't know what it is, so you might as well not even listen to me because who cares about some random guy's hunch. But I just think DeBrusk is going to play so well with Miller's type of game. So I don't know. We'll see. Brock_West01 said, if Kuzmenko was still a Canuck, they would have won Game 7 against Edmonton. What? Okay, in that scenario, is Boeser still injured? Is Demko still injured? And wait a minute, that means they wouldn't have Lindholm. I know the Canucks lost that series, but Draisaitl would have had more points if it wasn't for Lindholm. So I disagree. Kuzmenko did not need to be on the Canucks that year. Okay, Koenig Owen, we either gonna suck or go crazy this season. That's not a hot take. That's not even a take. You just said this will happen or this will happen. Come on, Owen. Owen, do better than that. Fuck. At Christian McD 800 said, Demko not coming back, we are cooked. Come on. That is a hot take because it's so outlandish. Come on. Brody Lacko said, not very hot, but Höglander breakout season. Okay, was last season not Höglander's breakout? Or do you mean like he's about to get 40? If he's about to score 40, then I am going to end up in the hospital. Dix Peterlini, great name, said Maple Leafs are not getting anything this year again. Well, I just kind of went on a rant about how I think the Maple Leafs might do something special this year, so I disagree. But if I had my choice, I would choose that the Maple Leafs lost again. But I want them to lose in a funny way. You know, I don't want them to not make the playoffs. That's not funny enough. I want them to like go up 3-0 in round 1 and then lose in game 7. But again, I keep it real, and I kind of think that they're going to go far. I really do. DeBrusk over 30 goals from Rich Page 98. Yeah, if he's playing with Pettersson, hell, it honestly doesn't even matter. If he's playing with Miller, I think he's getting 30 goals. If he's playing with Pettersson, he's getting 30 goals. So yeah, agree. I don't even know if that's a hot take. I think that's kind of lukewarm. If anything, actually, no, I think that might be cold. I think if he doesn't get 30 goals, that'll be weird to me. Spenny Sounds said Canucks will go on a longer win streak than Edmonton did last season. Okay, wait a minute. Hey, Google, how many wins did the Oilers get in a row last year? She's not going to understand. Fuck.
On the website ESPN.com, they say 16 wins, 2023-24 Edmonton Oilers, 6.
Hey, Google, stop. Hey, Google, please. Okay, 16 wins in a row.
I'll do my best.
Stop now. Fuck. Canucks will go on a longer win streak than Edmonton did last season. And I just asked Google. Apparently, it's 16. So 16 wins in a row. Yeah, I could see it. Cold take. Brady _ said 82-0. Canucks go 82-0. I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think that's going to happen. Klopp Kevin said Canucks have 4 guys hitting 100 points this season. 4 guys. Okay, so we had someone before on YouTube say 3 100-point players, and I totally agree with that. Hughes, Pettersson, and Miller. But this guy's saying 4. Klopp Kevin, who's the 4th? I don't disagree, but I need to know who's the 4th. Is it Boeser? Is Boeser getting 50 goals and 50 assists? Or is it DeBrusk? Is it Lekkerimäki? Who do you think is the 4th guy getting 100 points? What am I missing here? That's a hot take. It's also kind of funny because you don't even say who the 4th is. Klopp Kevin, if you're listening, please tell me who you think the 4th is because, oh shit, national _ 14578 said Danton Heinen 100-point season. What? I never want to count people out, so I'm not going to say it's impossible, but that's funny that was the second that came right after what the other guy said. So is that the same dude with a different account? Probably not. That's just a coincidence, I guess. So Heinen, 100-point season. I mean, let's look him up because I don't think he's ever even cracked 50. No, I'm right. The closest he came was his second year in the league, or I guess almost his rookie season because he only played 8 games in his first year. His first full season, in 77 games, he had 47 points. And then after that, it's been 34, 22, 33. Last year, he had 36. If he gets 100 points, that will be historic. I mean, do we have any example of a player going up that much in over one season? Probably, but I can't think of who. That's funny. Okay. Sean Worrell 1 said, I genuinely believe a healthy Thatcher the Snatcher Demko is the best goalie in the NHL. You could argue he's the best goalie in the league, but it's a tie. I don't think you could really argue that he's better than Shesterkin or Hellebuck. I think he's good where EA Sports put him. I'll tell you what those ratings are, by the way. The top 5 goalies that EA Sports put out was Connor Hellebuck 1, 93 overall, Igor Shesterkin 2, 92 overall, Andrei Vasilevsky tied for second with 92 overall, and then Thatcher Demko 91. And then they have Jake Ottinger 90. At least with the top 4, I agree with that. Andrei Vasilevsky's had a few bad playoffs as of late, but he's so good that I wouldn't count him out. But if you're basing it on last season, Thatcher might as well be the 3rd best goalie in the league, and it's close. They're all one point off of each other. So, yeah, okay. There's a lot more to go, guys. If you're enjoying this, there's a lot more. So I hope you like this. Paperback Spinner Rack said, no way of knowing if the Canucks are in their window right now. They could go right back to sucking. I disagree. I don't think the Canucks are going to go right back to sucking. I think the Canucks were heavily underperforming under Travis Green and under Bruce Boudreau. They couldn't find consistency. They couldn't find a system that fit for everyone. And also, look, I'm not a super big Benning hater. I know he's hated thoroughly by the fan base. I think he did some good things, like getting Pettersson and Hughes and even the Miller trade. I mean, if you want to credit the scouting for those draft picks, you can. But the Miller trade, I mean, that's insane. That's one of the best trades in Canuck history. And Benning did that. But he sucked at building the team. He was good at getting the star players, I guess you could say, but he sucked at building the team around them. He really, really sucked at least in the last few years he was here. And when Allvin came in and started building the team around them, it really, really made a difference. So I understand how you get to that thought, but if you think a bit longer, not saying you didn't think, but if you think a bit longer, you'll realize that so many factors are in play here. Allvin built a better team around the superstars. The superstars got older, stronger, more experienced. They traded out one of their best players, Horvat, for a defender who can play alongside Hughes or support in a different part of the lineup in the second pairing position. So no. Not even really a hot take, honestly, Paperback Spinner Rack. I'm sorry, man, but I think that if you thought a bit deeper about it, you'd understand that this is a playoff team now for years and years and years, for sure. Few Melatonin said, Connor Bedard is better than Elias Pettersson. Not yet. He's actually quite seriously not, factually. So I'm not even going to really entertain that one. And that's not, again, you guys, if you've been listening the whole time, you know I'm being real. I'm not just being a Canuck fan, talking out of my ass, just saying good things about the Canucks. I'm being honest. I'm being real. And no, Bedard is not better than Pettersson yet. Do I think he will be? Probably not this year, probably not next year. But yeah, he'll be better than Pettersson. _ one-timer said, Shilovs needs to be our starter. I'm so in love with that guy. I really just want the best goalie to be in net, to be honest. So if Lankinen's playing better, I want it to be Lankinen. But I don't think Lankinen has a very long future ahead of him with the Canucks. I think he'll probably be dealt at the deadline, ideally, because that means Demko's back and good to go. So, okay, Nathan Lidston, 77, said, PD will hit the 100-point mark again this season and win the Selke. I'm just going to move past this one because I 100% agree. Melvin Christensen said, Höglander scores 30-plus goals and 60-plus points this season. Conn Smythe nominee as well. Ooh, Conn Smythe nominee. Do they announce the nominees for the Conn Smythe? Am I an idiot? I don't actually know if they do, but 30-plus goals for Höglander and 60-plus points, I think that's very possible. I would, honestly, him getting 30-plus goals, I would bet money on. I would. 60-plus points, though, maybe not. I don't know, but 30-plus goals, possibly. Liam Sutherland, 21, said, as a Bruins fan, Jake DeBrusk deserves at least a second-line spot. Well, hey, I got good news for you. He is definitely getting at least a second line spot. You do not have to worry. I'd even argue he might be up on the first line. And by the way, the Canucks have 2 first lines. It's 1A, 1B. It's really just 1 and 1 because you got Pettersson and Miller. So it changes every day. Poet McMahon said the Vancouver Canucks are good. Agree. Poet McMahon then said, I love Quinn Hughes. Agree. Bo Plus said balls. Then he said and balls. And then he said more balls. This guy's been commenting balls all over social media recently. Either it's him or a bunch of people. I don't know. But he's just been saying balls in the live streams when the videos premiere. He's been on my Twitter saying balls, I think, maybe not. He just keeps saying balls, and I chuckle sometimes. Other times I just move past it, and I'm moving past it right now. Colby said Pettersson is mid. Colby, I think you should go to a doctor as soon as you can. It sounds like you have something seriously wrong with you. Probably Henry said Conor Garland looks like Prince. What? Conor Garland looks like Prince? What? Okay. I know what Prince looks like, okay? I'm not Googling who Prince is. Don't worry, I know who Prince is. But does Conor Garland look like him? I need 2 pictures side by side. So I'm going to go ahead and say I do not think that we have a situation where, like, it's a doppelganger type thing where, like, they look so alike it's creepy. But I can see what this guy's saying. It's very faint, at least to me. Go look up what Prince looks like and put a picture of Conor Garland next to him, and you're probably going to laugh because it's close enough to be like, okay, I guess that makes this a hot take. Yeah, good one. Who said this? Probably Henry. Good one. MiloClark.jpg said, we should be open to flipping Lankinen before the deadline. Hey, I just said that. Yeah, I actually think that's going to happen. And I think it will be considered a great move by the Canucks because what might happen is the Canucks will be a great team. Lankinen will put up good numbers and Demko gets back. Then you have Demko and Shilovs. You don't want to just let Lankinen walk in free agency. They might keep him around in case Demko re-injures his knee. they might keep him around and just, bite the bullet and let him walk in free agency. But yeah, no, I think they are open to it. In fact, I think that's why they signed him to a 1-year deal. He probably wanted more. We know he wanted more money, and they just waited him out. No other team offered him something, or at least no other team offered him better than what the Canucks did. And they got him for, I think it was $875,000. So yeah, he did give a 8-team no trade list though. That was the way they made the deal work. Hey, we're going to sign you to just an $875,000 deal for 1 year, when he probably was like, look, if you're going to only give me $875, I want 3 years. And they probably were like, no, because we have our goalies for the next 3 years. And so then he was like, all right, well, at least if you're going to trade me, don't trade me to these 8 teams. So I think it's already being considered. I think that was part of the deal. They probably told him, they're like, look, you're going to be here till, we don't need you anymore, which could be a month from now. Maybe Demko's back. It could be right before the trade deadline. I mean, who knows? So yeah, Milo Clark, totally agree. It's not really a hot take, but it's a wise observation. Nick Skarich said, Canucks have more depth than the Oilers, even on defense. Nick, listen. The Canucks have more depth than the Oilers everywhere. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Again, I'm keeping it real here. At least in my opinion, yeah, the Canucks have more depth everywhere. Everywhere. Sidad said, I think Big Hog will get 20 goals. I hope he gets more than 20. I think Big Hog will get at least 20 goals this year. Hopefully 30. Anyways, okay. Liam McKay said, Demko Conn Smythe. That's cool because I don't think I've really thought about this much. If the Canucks win the Stanley Cup, who's the most likely to be getting the Conn Smythe? And the Conn Smythe isn't necessarily given to someone on the winning team, because Connor McDavid had it last year and he fully deserved it. Like, without question, he deserved the Conn Smythe last year. But let's say the Canucks won the Cup and they were for sure going to get the Conn Smythe as well. Which player would get it? Demko is a great guess. I could see Miller getting it as well. Pettersson too. I know it's kind of weird to say that because everyone's talking about how he kind of underperformed in the playoffs last year. But need I remind you, he was incredible point-per-game player in the 2020 bubble playoffs. And I know everyone's like, oh, it wasn't real playoffs. It was the COVID bubble. Guys, it's not like the players weren't trying. Everybody was trying. So I don't understand. Okay, we're not going to get into that. Demko Conn Smythe, yeah, sure. I agree. Good one. Okay, so now we're on to a part. I asked on Instagram if anyone had any questions for me specifically for whatever reason. And some people, actually a lot of people replied. So this is a long episode, I think. I don't know where we are in it. I have to edit it down, but I hope it's good, guys. I really do. I have to tell you, every time I record these, except for when I have a guest on, I have this simmering feeling that what I'm making is boring, because my videos, like I focus on, like, I'm so meticulous with it. I edit every millisecond. I really care about it. And I make sure there's something happening at all times. It's just the way I like to, tell stories. So this podcast thing is so the polar opposite. It's just me talking, rambling, making mistakes. Like, it is so the polar opposite. And it's weird for me because I feel the need to go back and fix everything. So I have no idea if this is an interesting episode right now. I hope it is, because it's the first one after telling you guys it would come back 3 times and basically lying. So I hope you guys are enjoying this, but we'll wrap it up with these questions. There's quite a few, but this will be the final thing. Okay. Finley McClellan, 77, sick username actually, Finley McClellan, 77, said, does DeBrusk get 30-plus goals and 70-plus points? Let's see his stats leading up to this. I've already looked at this quite a bit, but I'm forgetting again. Jake DeBrusk, has he ever hit 70 points? Ooh, okay, let's think about this. He hasn't ever hit 70 points. He hasn't hit 30 goals either, but he had 27 once, 25, or he had 27 twice, 25 once, and 19 last year. So him hitting 30 goals is very possible. Actually, you know what's interesting? Both times he got 27 goals, he only played 68 games and then 64 games, which is weird. The full seasons he played, like last year, he played a full 80, but only got 19 goals. And I don't know where I'm going with that. The point is, I think he'll get 30-plus goals. I think that's very possible. But 70-plus points, just because he hasn't even come close to it. Like, he hasn't cracked even 60 points. And he's only cracked 50 points once, and it was 50 on the nose. He's never got above 50 points. So would he get 70? Fuck it. Yeah, he will. Okay. Brock West 01 asked, do you collect hockey cards or not? He wrote it like this. Do you collect hockey cards or not? Which is funny. It's like he's been asking me for years. No, I do not, but I used to when I was a kid. What else? David Dewan 12 said, who do you think Leon the NHL this year. What? I'm gonna go ahead and reply to that with what? David Dewan 12 said, who do you think Eon the NHL this year? I don't know. Eliana C said, what is your earliest Canucks memory? Damn. My earliest Canucks memory is watching with my grandma, and she would make me laugh my head off because I didn't, this is, before I even knew anything about anything. I was probably like 4 years old, maybe 5. We'd watch the games at her house, but the only kick I got out of it was cheering against whoever she was cheering for. And she was obviously always cheering for the Canucks, but sometimes they were blue and sometimes they were white, right? So I'd be like, who are you cheering for, Grandma? And she'd be like, white. And I go, I'm cheering for blue. And she'd be like, oh. And so I was just being a little menace back then as well. So yeah, I guess that's my earliest memory. But in terms of like me being a fan, I'd say like maybe it's so faint, but the 2003 series against the Wild where the Canucks were up 3-1. And I believe let me double check. Let me see here for a second. 2003 NHL playoff bracket. I think that was 2003 when the Canucks, they were up 3-1 against the Minnesota Wild. Yeah, they were. Second round, they were up 3-1, and the Minnesota Wild came back and won 3 games straight and won 4-3. I remember, the frustration. I don't remember watching. I'm giving you 3 answers. The actual, the one that I remember vividly was 2004, the year after, when the Canucks, it was Brendan Morrison scoring in overtime against the Calgary Flames to bring it to Game 7. I'll never forget that. I was up, I think it was second overtime. I don't remember. I'm not going to Google that too. I don't remember the overtime, what number it was, but it was sick. And yeah. Man, I'm getting tired, guys. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of getting loopy. I don't know how long I've been going for 2 hours at this point, I think. At least I've been recording for 2 hours. I don't know how long the actual episode is. But I'll keep going. There's more questions, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Okay, we'll try to go quickly. Is Boeser playing this season? Yes, Boeser is playing this season. He's monitoring the blood clot issue, but he's playing this season, from everything that I've heard. And that was from Christian McD 800. Ben Madden 33 said, "What's your best chirp to use against Leafs fans? I'm surrounded by too many in Ontario." Okay, I have 2. The first one is kind of obvious. The Canucks joined the league in 1970, but they've never won a cup. So being a Canucks fan, you hear all the time, "Oh, the Canucks have never won a cup. They suck." If you ever hear that from a Leafs fan, you get to make fun of them because they haven't won a cup since 1967. So yes, the team has won cups, but not since 1967. So the Canucks cup drought is 54 years long, but the Maple Leafs is 57. So you could say that. But here's the best one. Here's the better chirp, okay? So the last time the Maple Leafs won the cup was 1967, right? They only had to win 2 rounds back then. 2 rounds. That's it. There weren't that many teams. In fact, the Maple Leafs have never even won 3 rounds. They've never won 3 rounds. Ever. The Canucks have won 3 rounds 3 separate times. 1982, they won 3 rounds and then lost to the Islanders in the Cup Final. 1994, they won 3 rounds and then lost to the Rangers in the Cup Final. And then obviously, I think everybody knows this, the 2011 one, Canucks won 3 rounds and then lost to the Bruins in the Cup Final. The lost in the Cup Final part sucks to say. I hate that part. But yeah, the Maple Leafs have never won 3 rounds, which is just hilarious. So if they're chirping you, you should say that. Spenny Sounds, he asked another one. He said, if you could embody any player for one game, who would it be? Big Hog. Edward Kiao 29 said, who do you think is the most underappreciated Canuck in franchise history? The first name that came to my head was Chris Tanev. Keep in mind, I've basically only been watching for the 2000s. I know my Canuck history, but I wouldn't be fit to answer a question, about the first 30 years of the team. But for the 2000s, I mean, it's hard. The first name that came to my head was Chris Tanev because the organization let him walk. First of all, I know that was Jim Benning's fault allegedly, but I mean that kind of sucked. Chris Tanev laid his body out on the line for the Canucks and for every team he's played for after, but he was such a warrior. He was so good. Quinn Hughes loved him. I hated seeing him go, and I think, the fans appreciated him, but the organization, I mean, I think they did too, but it's just weird they didn't re-sign him. It just makes no sense. But I guess that would be my answer. Who's the most underappreciated Canuck? I don't know. I'm going to stick with Chris Tanev. That's a hard question to answer, but thank you for asking. Josie_SYL said, will you be watching the Prime series? You bet your ass I'm going to be watching the Prime series. In fact, my girlfriend said it looks really good, and she's not a huge hockey fan. So yes, I'll be watching. I'm excited for it. And I'm hoping there's some good content to use in the videos with, because they followed Quinn Hughes during the playoffs. So I hope there's some cool shit there. Melvin Christensen asked, what is your most anticipated storyline this season if you could only pick one? The Canucks playing the Oilers again in the playoffs would be awesome. Anytime the Canucks play the Oilers is going to be awesome. This is such a fun, crazy community to be a part of. And, there's aspects of the rivalry between the two fan bases that really should be left behind. I mean, there's people who are just make fake accounts so they can say the most controversial thing they can. Just saying offhand, racist, sexist, you name it, anything, just for no reason. Attacking players, families, for no reason. It's really shitty. However, outside of all that, and if anyone listening participates in that, you gotta stop. It's not even I'm not even saying, it's against the rules. It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. Think, be creative. Don't just try to and also it's man, I'll go on a little rant here. If you're the type of person to make a fake Twitter account or fake whatever account and go on and just spew garbage, I want you to know that you're wearing your heart on your sleeve for everyone to see. It's just so dumb. I don't know what else to say. It's just a waste of time. You're on Earth for a certain amount of time. Why don't you use it? And I'm not even about to say use it to be positive. I know that's a thing people say, and I believe that, but you don't have to believe that. Just use it in a way that's productive. Just don't waste your time doing that. You're not fooling anybody. And if you're trying to get engagement on Twitter or whatever, one of these social media apps just for attention, that is so sad. Go get friends, go get a girlfriend, go get a boyfriend. That's how you get attention. Don't just be this person, blah, 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 and then say something fucked up. I don't even know why I'm bringing that up right now. They asked, what is your most anticipated storyline this season if you could only pick one? It's basically my answer. It was just very convoluted, is seeing the Oilers and the Canucks play. I mean, it's just, whether it's the playoffs or just the regular season, the two fan bases are so funny when they go after each other. I'm just trying to make sure you understand that I'm excluding all the bullshit on both sides, because there's a lot. But the good, fun-spirited jokes and jabs that people toss around online, that's fun. The rest of the bullshit can leave. Okay. Quaxel said, I don't know if this is a hot take, but Sprong is not a good top six player. I think that is a hot take, but I've heard a lot of people saying it, so I don't know. I guess it is a hot take. He's traditionally not been very good defensively, but he actually, I can't remember who was interviewing him, but he went on record saying he knows that that's his reputation right now, and he disagrees with it, and he's going to prove people wrong. So he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's also playing with, we might be playing with some great players, and he's under some great coaches. So I wouldn't be surprised if he completely nips that in the bud and, is at least serviceable defensively. He might not be out on the PKs anytime soon, but I wouldn't be surprised if he really shuts a lot of those people up. So, yeah, he definitely has the shot and the offensive skill to be a top six player. There's no doubt about that in my mind. It's just his, how much can you rely on him defensively? We have yet to see, but I have high hopes. Okay, someone else said, when does the podcast drop? Well, right now. I'm recording this on Tuesday, but it's coming out on Thursday morning, just like all of them. If you're one of the people, by the way, I know that I've seen some comments saying I checked Spotify every day to see if you uploaded a new one. Please don't do that. It'll always be Thursday morning. So if you wake up one Thursday and I don't have one out, which I'm going to really try not to do this year, but if that happens, don't check the next day. It will not come out the next day. I'm only doing Thursday morning. They come out at 5:30 in the morning on Thursdays. Then the same guy who kept commenting balls said, is there going to be a balls reveal? No. Jesus. Eli XO said, can you compare this year's roster and last year's, and how confident are you with the changes? Yeah, well, I think I said it earlier. I've been going so long now, I forget everything I said. But while the defense is a little bit worse, at least on paper, the forward core is a lot better. The goaltending, I think, is better, right? It depends on Demko's health, but let's say Demko's healthy. I think Demko and Sheeloffs is a better duo than Demko and Casey DeSmith, just by a hair. So yeah, as a whole, I think they're better than they were last year to start the season. But when you factor in the experience and the chemistry they built last year as well, I think they're a lot better. Colby_.R said, will the Canucks win the Stanley Cup this year? Well, I don't know, but they could. They very well could, and that's enough to have me super excited. Probably Henry _ said, would you buy Alex Edler's $9 million mansion with your large sums of YouTube money? Okay, I think you're joking. I know you're joking, but I've seen a few comments where it's like, people think I'm rich now or something. I mean, it's probably kids, but if you're a kid listening, I'm not rich. I'm very far from rich. I'm just making enough money to be able to do it full time. That's all. Like, I can get groceries. That's it. I can't go buy some, like a car and new shit and all that stuff. I just can pay rent and get groceries. That's it. Kai Knuckle said, which Canuck is going to produce the most points this season? I say Pettersson this year. I think Pettersson's going 110, 115, honestly. Then Kai Knuckle also asked, favorite prospect and which one you want in the NHL this year? Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Oh, wow. Okay, the final question is from Liam McKay 134, and he asked, Henrik or Daniel Sedin? That's like the hardest question you could possibly end this with. Henrik or Daniel Sedin? What? I'm not going to answer that, man. I think that's it for now. I'm getting tired. This episode deteriorated near the end here. But if this one was wonky, if you guys are like, oh, his podcast is a little rusty, it's because I'm rusty. I am rusty. I don't really remember how I was good at this before, but who knows? Maybe you guys are going to love this. I don't know. But thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you for being patient with me. Guys, I'm going to get real for a second. A month from today will be the year anniversary of me starting the Nuckhead YouTube channel. And I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you that have given my videos a chance. And the fact you guys are even listening is just so special. Like, I'm really, really grateful. This is all I've wanted to do my whole life, is just be creative. And the fact I get to do it about something else I'm super passionate about, which is the Canucks, I've been following since I was 7 or 8 years old, is just so fun. And I want, if any of you listening want to try doing something like this one day, I encourage you to do it. As long as you have fun, I truly believe people will like it. And I'm having a blast. I still am. And I hope I can do it for a long time. I really do. So keep liking, keep subscribing, keep listening, keep commenting, keep giving me your hot takes, keep chirping, keep saying balls to that one guy, I guess. But yeah, all right. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you, everyone who commented or asked a question, give a hot take, everybody. I'll see you guys later.